Meeting, February 14th, 2013. Just to let you know that Martha Schrader and Paul Savas are excused this meeting. They're in Washington, D.C. doing some county business. So, Mr. Wheeler, will you do the roll call?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Bernard?
Here.
Chair Ludlow?
Here. You all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now time for the approval of the order of the agenda. I'd like to move discussion item 2 after the presentation and before the citizen communication. This is due to time constraints of some of the participants. Does the commission have any other changes to the order of agenda? I ask for a motion to approve the order of agenda as amended.
I move we approve the order of the business meeting agenda as amended.
I second.
The motion been made by Commissioner Bernard, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? And now the clerk will do the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
Aye. Now we have time for a presentation. Mr. Wheeler.
Well, this is a presentation, I think Dave Militich is doing it from County Parks, or NCPRD, I should say.
Right.
So Dave, take it away, please.
Great. Well, thank you, Commissioners. We're very happy to be here this morning to talk about the Meals on Wheels program and March for Meals. I'd like to introduce a few people that will be part of this very fast-paced presentation. On my immediate left is Marty Hanley. Marty has worked at the Milwaukee Center for 15 years, and as of yesterday, was promoted to be the Supervisor of Senior Services for North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District.
Excellent.
And in the audience, and I'm going to ask them now to come up to these two chairs, they'll be making part of the presentation, Lori Sobelson, the Director of Corporate Outreach for Bob's Red Mill, and Shobi Dahl, the CEO from Dave's Killer Bread.
Oh, did you bring
they are-
samples? I want those cinnamon roll stuff. You know, that's.
So we each have a very quick part of this, but we wanted to share with you what we do in the month of March to raise awareness and donations and volunteer support for the Meals on Wheels program operated through the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District for the 116,000 people in our service area. Like I mentioned, March is National March for Meals campaign to raise funds for this vital program. We serve 200 to 250 meals per day, Monday through Friday. And frozen meals are delivered on Thursdays and Fridays for the weekend. 60,000 meals per year is what that totals for seniors and people with disabilities. Those are prepared in the kitchen at the Milwaukee Center, and they are, the program is supported by over 100 volunteer drivers that come in 5 days a week, pick up those meals and deliver them to the, throughout the community. As part of that, upcoming March 20th, is Local Dignitaries Ride Along. and you are all local dignitaries, and you are all invited to ride along. So if on March 20th you're available, we would certainly welcome you if you want to ride along with one of those volunteer drivers and go out and deliver some meals. Just let us know, and they would want you at the Milwaukee Center about 11 o'clock, and you'd be done in about 2 hours. So we just do that as a way to get out to the local city councils, county commissioners, and other local dignitaries. Our goal this year is to raise over $25,000 and as much over that as we can. We raised a little bit more than that last year, so we want to certainly top last year's goal, and why not go for 30,000 plus? The top two sponsors we have for this program, and they are amazing sponsors and have been with us for many years, and you'll hear from them in a minute. Bob's Red Mill, they match a significant donation of up to $7,500 and beyond, and last year they raised in excess of $20,000. And Bob's, in addition to what they do for March for Meals, also makes a monthly contribution to our program at the Milwaukee Center. And they also, in addition to a cash donation, donate thousands of dollars worth of food products for the meals throughout the year. The program could not operate without their support as efficiently as it does. And Dave's Killer Bread has supported us for many years through their Charity Week program at the Healthy Bread Store. This year is the first year that they have put together a new program called the Good Seed Grant Program, and North Clackamas Park's March for Meals at the Milwaukee Center is the first recipient of that $10,000 grant, which is split between Meals on Wheels and other services we offer in the community. And Dave's also donates bread for Meals on Wheels program and many other programs throughout NCPRD, including our healthy eating program for children. So with that, I would like to introduce Marty Hanley and let him talk a little bit about the program, and then we'll have comments from Shobi Dahl and Lori Sobelson.
Thank you, Dave. What I would like to do today is just give you a brief glimpse of what the Meals on Wheels program is. I think we all know the core mission is to deliver a hot, fresh meal, nutritious meal to homebound seniors. And that is, of course, the main goal. But along with that, there's a lot more that you get. You get a daily visit from a volunteer who delivers your meal. This may be the only contact that folks get in a day. Some of the people are extremely isolated, and this visit really means a lot to them. The visit is also a safety check, meaning if the person is non-responsive, there's no answer, there's a procedure where staff will check first with family or friends or emergency contact. If not, the staff will go out or even call the sheriff. And there's been literally lives saved, people on the floor for some of the most vulnerable folks in our community. It's a great check for them. Another service with the Meals on Wheels is when you begin the service, you get an initial needs assessment through staff. They come out to visit you, either alone or with your family, and they discuss different needs you may have and different resources. So you get this visit. They try to do things that will help you maintain your independence in your house is the main goal. And then we don't just forget about you. There is ongoing case management and a yearly reassessment in person we do for each client on Meals on Wheels. So it is a lot of work, and the Meals program is vital to these folks to get it. So with our sponsors, every penny we raise goes to help keep this vital program going. So thank you.
Thank you, Marty. And with that, I will turn it over to Shobi Dahl, the CEO from Dave's Killer Bread.
Thank you. Commissioners, we're very happy to be a part of this program. The vision of our company is to make the world a better place, one loaf of bread at a time. That has many facets. The first is, of course, making the best product possible. The second is to create a fantastic work environment for our employees. And the third is to contribute positively to our community. And that's why we're here today, is because we're playing one small part in a very big picture, helping to feed people who need the food, and also to support the great and fantastic programs that the North Clackamas Parks District puts on for many different things and really supports the community. And so with that, we're very happy to provide you with a $10,000 donation. It's actually the first donation of our new Good Seed Grant program, which is going to do a whole lot of good throughout the Northwest, supporting programs that support both community groups and also people who may have be disadvantaged by choices that they've made in their past, such as committing crimes and being a felon, being in prison. So with that, we're very glad to be a part of this, and we brought you some loaves of bread today. So hope you enjoy
yeah.
those.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Joby, thank you. That's a very major donation. Thank you.
Yes, we're very grateful for that donation, and now I would like to turn it over to Lori Sobelson from Bob's Red Mill, and Lori is the Director of Corporate Outreach.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is Lori Sobelson. I have been with Bob's Red Mill for over 10 years and have been a customer for 35 years. So I have a great fondness for our company. The founders, Bob and his wife, Charlie Moore, when they started this company many, many years ago, their number one priority was to give back to the community. And a small way that we can do that is through the Meals on Wheels program, the March for Meals campaign that we are involved in. This is the 8th year that I've overseen the campaign. And every year I have a goal that I set higher and higher. And as Dave mentioned, last year we were very pleased to give over $21,000 for the month that we raised funds with our employees as well as with our customers. And part of that donation is financial, but we also believe in the center so deeply that we do commit to providing product on a monthly basis. And we allow the staff to make a decision as to whatever they need for the month. And we are very pleased to provide those funds or the products as well. We also like to support the Milwaukee Center throughout the year with financial donations, as well as gift baskets for fundraising and so forth. So we just appreciate what the Milwaukee Center means to the community, means to the seniors. Bob and Charlie also participate by having lunch there from on occasion, as well as dinner or their Thanksgiving dinners. And they both have a real passion to make sure that the seniors are taken care of. And so we've been a part of that, and I'm very pleased to oversee this campaign for Bob's Red Mill. And I have a gift as well. We are like family, as you probably know. Dave's Killer Bread is across the street from our store, and so we enjoy working with them. And I am going to present you with some of our world-famous steel-cut oats. And so you'll have a wonderful whole grain breakfast between the oats and the bread. So to your good health, and thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this wonderful campaign.
Great, thank you, Lori. And before I read the end of the staff report for the recommendation, I will mention that if you're a business owner along an International Way, you know Lori because she works her way up and down through all the businesses working to raise money for this program over the years. So she's a great ambassador for all we do. And our recommendation in the staff report is to request your support for the March for Meals campaign, and we would like you to consider doing a ride-along on March 20th.
I believe at least one of our commissioners wants to make a comment. Commissioner Smith?
Oh, well, yeah, thank you. Both of your businesses, I've been to both of them often, and I'm a big fan of both of you folks out there, and I'm so happy that you decided to make Clackamas County your home. And, yeah, I would be willing to go on a ride-along. I think that would be really fun, and just meet the folks and see what's going on and see how well you guys do the program.
We will connect then with your calendar to
Yeah,
make sure that's scheduled.
that'll be fine, and thank you and I eat oatmeal every morning.
That girl. Commissioner Bernard?
I see we have a land use hearing that day, so I don't know what that hearing is, so we may have to look at that. So for clarification's sake, it's Nature Bake, not Dave's Killer Bread, correct?
Well, unfortunately, this last year we did discontinue the Nature Bake line, and so we only DBA as Dave's Killer Bread now.
Okay, well, I'll stop correcting people whenever they say Dave's Killer Bread. Also, both these businesses are in Milwaukee. When I was mayor, they came, and they've always been very supportive of the community and certainly of Milwaukee Center. So we appreciate you sharing your success with Clackamas County and the residents in Clackamas County. And I know that I was actually in D.C. and saw some Bob's Red Mill stuff on the shelf.
Wow.
And I read an article about you folks expanding in partnership across the country. I had never understood that bread can only be shipped a certain distance or it goes bad. I'd never understood that, but a biologist gave us a report at some event I was at. Also, Dave himself, I believe he's your uncle, has been very supportive in community corrections. I've been to many speeches, many of his events, and I'm glad he's not here so he can't pick on me. But I appreciate all you guys do, and of course, Meals on Wheels. I've participated in Mares on Wheels for a number of years, and it is great to go to those folks' homes. And I've actually been involved when there were people who need help, when we knocked on the door. And so I appreciate all the hard work that Meals on Wheels does. And of course, Milwaukee Center being a great place for folks to get together and build relationships and sometimes have a little fun. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, and if we may indulge, we'd love to get a photo with our guests today.
Okay, one last comment. Yes, you can. Dave, Marty, and Lori, and Shobi, I really appreciate you coming today. I'm very supportive as well. In fact, I went to a meeting recently where they explained that also, because, if you look at these, in a sense, shut-ins, so many times they only have one companion. That companion often is a little dog or a little cat, but most of the time a little small dog. So I know that, I don't know about this particular program here, but I know in some programs they take a small amount of food for the dog because unfortunately, being their best companion, these elderly will pass, or infirm, will pass that food on to the dog, which isn't good for the dog. But I think that's a real good part of that. I know it doesn't have anything to do with what your cause is here, but I think it's really affirming that that's the most important companion in their life a lot of times. And so I appreciate that. Listen, again, great generosity and a great job, Lori, in organizing, and Shobi, a fantastic gift. And I do freeze my killer bread, by the way, and I do use the brand for my brand muffins at times. So again, we're all supporters of you and really appreciate your hard work for a very just cause. Thank you. We'll come around, have a picture taken, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, my gosh. We have a limitation, according to the Ethics Division, about what we can accept. It's $50, maximum per person or entity per year. So I'm keeping score. That's not quite 50. We'll accept more. Thank you very much. All right. Next we have, let's see, Mr. Wheeler.
Yes, this is a disposition agreement, and it's a very positive one with the City of Happy Valley. Dan Johnson from our development agency is here to give the, no, this isn't the one?
No,
What's that?
change the order of agenda. We're doing the Oregon City one.
Are we doing Oregon City second?
Yeah,
Okay,
we changed it. That's what the
that's
motion
fine.
was.
This is also a positive one, then. This
Yes,
is
it
our,
is. It's all positive.
everything's positive. This would be our broadband technology opportunity franchise agreement with Oregon City. Laurel Buttman from our staff is here, and I know the city manager and Commissioner Carol Pauley from Oregon City are here, and I think we have some very,
David and Carol, would you just come forward then?
welcome to sit right up there.
Yeah, David Frazier and Carol Pauley. And then Laurel Buttman has a brief report.
Yes, take it
Yes.
away, Laurel, thank you.
Yes, I will be brief. We're here today to memorialize a right-of-way agreement between Clackamas County and the City of Oregon City. We've been negotiating for some time to come to an agreement on a mechanism for authorizing the county's use of the city rights-of-way for the Clackamas Broadband Express. It's a broadband technology opportunities program project that we got a fairly substantial grant from the federal government to do. And the project is seeking to provide broader public and private access to and use of broadband fiber across the full county. So city and county representatives have come to an agreement with that is before you today for your consideration. This agreement was heard last night by the City Commission of Oregon City and passed unanimously. And it reflects, the agreement itself reflects the unique nature of the project and the services provided by the county. And it also recognizes Oregon City's status as the county seat and the presence as a major technology hub for the program. So the agreement provides an annual fee as well as an additional one-time use and application fee, which the county will pay to the city, and it has a term of 20 years. There's a resolution we're asking for you to approve today that would authorize this agreement and direct the county administrator to execute it as well. And staff recommends that you go ahead and approve the resolution and the agreement.
Thank you. Well, the city folk, it's your turn.
Well, Commission and staff, we're very happy to be here today under these circumstances. Mayor Neely sends his regrets for not being here. He had a class to teach at Portland State this morning, so I'm sure it's more exciting here than statistics, but maybe not, I don't know. We just are very happy that we found a workable solution to this. I know it's been a long time coming, and I feel that our ties have strengthened and our communication has deepened. And I look forward to a future of working together on other projects and kind of, you know, taking a new line on everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier.
Well, this is the day we thought would never come sometimes, I think, and it's been a hard road, but I think sometimes the more difficult a challenge like that is, the more meaningful the resolution is as well. And I'm just so looking forward to a new paradigm with the county between Oregon City and county staff as well as our elected leaders. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, because you really showed some leadership on this issue, and I guess sort of called a timeout for all of us to step back and take a fresh look at this and see if there wasn't a way to solve it. And so I really want to thank this commission as well as the Oregon City Commission for their determination to get to a resolution that didn't involve any more of Stephen's time or our attorney's time. So that's in the public interest, and we're really grateful and thankful. And I think we have something now that will motivate all of us to be stronger partners. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Do you want to go first? Doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
I want to really thank our staff for all the work they've done, not just since we've come on board as new commissioners and new to this issue. The staff has just done fantastic work. I mean, you know, they had to get us up to speed and educate us and then still get this agreement. I want to especially thank the chair, John Ludlow. You know, he's often said that he's the negotiator, and maybe we'll start nicknaming him that now, because I think he went in with open eyes and a fresh attitude and said, hey, everybody needs to sit down and take a look at this. And that's what they did. And I really look forward to my continued involvement and partnership with the Oregon City. You know, the county is in your town, so to speak, and we are going to be here forever, probably. And I just want to work on our partnership and our communications and whatever we can do to help Oregon City to be a huge success. And I know there's some things on the list that I'm going to be actively engaged in with you folks. And, you know, I just can't say enough how really pleased I am that this is settled.
Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad this is behind us. One of the reasons I ran for the commission was try to build better relationships with cities. So I look forward to doing that in the future. I think that after touring Blue Heron site the other day, there's a great opportunity not only for Oregon City, Clackamas County, but for the region. And that's not going to be easy. After going inside those buildings, I can see that there's a lot of work ahead of us but we are not going to be successful. And I think the citizens should demand success on this unless we become better partners. So I look forward to that and moving forward, working with you guys on many issues. Clackamas County has a lot of cities, more than most counties in the country, after having just gone to NACO conference. So I look forward to moving forward in a positive way and all of us being successful in our next project together.
Thank you.
Yeah, my comments are that it has been interesting and certainly educational for me about the process, about what dark fiber is. I've learned a great deal along the line. I think it was a great success to bring all the players together in a huge room and compare notes, so to speak. And I think we just had some misunderstandings. Everybody did, and it was a real pleasure to put the people together. I want to particularly thank Commissioner Betty Mumm and Commissioner Carol Pauli, and especially you, David, for allowing me to enter into the fray and bring it to resolution. And I feel very pleased and honored that your commission would vote unanimously to put this thing behind us. Thank you very much. Commission, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the BTOP agreement with the City of Oregon City.
Second.
The motion been made by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Bernard. Further discussion? Just a point of clarification, is there a specific need for the language here? So should we reintroduce the exact language?
I don't have that
Let me
language.
rephrase what the motion was.
I don't have language.
I move we
sorry.
approve, the motion has been made to approve the resolution granting a right-of-way use and franchise agreement to Clackamas County to install broadband infrastructure and provide dark fiber service within the city of Oregon City. I think that was the motion, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Good.
Okay, it sounds good to me.
Clarification of it. Any further discussion? Would you do the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. If you brought that original, David,
Yes, sir.
and hand it to Mary, I'll just quickly sign it and we can get copies and we'll put this
Go on your
to
way.
bed.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, God, this is fun.
Carol, thank you.
I know, it's going to be fun, don't you think, as we, on things?
I'll just take a minute here, folks, because this is important that we execute this. County Administrator.
It's going to be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys authorized
We did authorize the county administrator to sign these, so much for me, which is fine. You accept that? Thank you, David. Pleasure, really. All right, then. Now we get into citizens' communication, and I have some cards here. The first card I have is from Mr. Ted Ricks, and then I would also call up Les Poole. Yeah, it was revised. I don't think she.
You go right. That's right. Okay.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to clarify. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Ted Ricks. I'm from Lake Oswego, simple citizen. I have a general question. It has to do with budgets, and I know you're about ready to start on that, I believe, that process. So how is the board setting the fiscal 2013 through fiscal 2015 budget priorities? Given the 2 to 3 million to 4 to 5 million projected shortfalls in revenue for these 3 years versus the operation expenses? That's my question.
Mr. Bernard.
It's a
But
great question.
I'd love to respond. Actually, we are yet to sit down and talk about our priorities as a commission. And we have folks in DC, I was there, and so we plan on doing that just as soon as possible. Generally, I know that we would like to put more reserves aside, and so our focus will be to do that. I also believe that we need to look at programs that are existing, are they sustainable, And should we look at new programs? Frankly, I don't think we should invest in new programs unless they're sustainable. So we have that discussion yet to have, and I look forward to the other folks coming back from DC and having that discussion.
Yeah, I would agree with Commissioner Bernard, and unfortunately, not only have we not set our priorities for the budget yet, we haven't set our policy priorities either, and the two go hand in hand. We will be having that meeting very soon. There's been a lot of behind-the-scenes work done in bringing in somebody to facilitate a meeting so we can set our policy and move forward. And I think your question is a great question. It's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you. I think in my opinion going forward, we need to figure out how we're going to spend our really precious tax dollars and how we move forward on that, and what do the citizens want in their government, and how much government. And we get a lot of federal grant money, for instance, for the Health, Housing, and Human Services Department. And some of that's going to probably be cut back. And so, one of my priorities is our most vulnerable people, our citizens in the Clackamas County, to make sure that those people are taken care of, because, a lot of times it's just a step up, a hand up for a temporary period of time. And so that's one of my priorities. And so, it's something that I would love to talk with you about. I look forward to actually putting out a document stating what our priorities are, and that's probably coming. And thank you.
So as a follow-up, how do you intend to communicate this to citizens?
Well, when we have actually two exercises that we'll go through, and we've hired somebody to help us through this. One is team building, which I think is paramount, and in this particular order, that it's team building, then it's priority setting. Now, it's not to say that I pride myself and my commission on being very functional. We are able to take our losses and be fine with that. We might disagree, but we're not disagreeable. So, when we come up with those priorities, though, aggregately, then we will definitely put those out to the public. There will be budgetary consequences, probably, pro and con. But I always go back to looking at the public every time they're polled. Every time they're polled, it comes out, number one and two, every time, that public safety is number one and roads are number two. Now, roads are a big problem. Public safety is a big problem because it's very expensive. And roads are a big problem, and frankly, we're falling way behind on that. But the third thing, at least my priority, and it's similar to, I'm sure, the rest of my commission, is we've got to really relook at all of the very vulnerable people here, the ones that are in need, whether they're seniors, whether they have some infirmity, whether they have mental problems as well. And you say, well, mental, that actually ties in with public safety, not only because of the fear of something happening at their hands, but also the legal consequences. A lot of these people, and I work closely with the state prison system, these people end up in jail, in prison. And I think we've got to do as best we possibly can towards that. And we will be juggling figures, but I trust Mr. Wheeler and Mr. Gonzalez have done a great job in presenting us with that. And it's a long document, folks, very long, line by line. You must be somewhat familiar with looking at those. And so, it's a matter of prioritizing, and I think you use that word. What are our priorities? Each of us have individual ones, and aggregately we will come together for mission goals, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming.
Well, good morning.
Are you new here, sir?
Yes, I've been here once or twice, maybe 50 times. Les Poole, Gladstone. I was going to comment on several items briefly, and one of them was to thank the commission for having evening meetings. That's been a real plus. I think the attendance has been pretty darn good, and it's given an opportunity for the younger folks, for the kids to sometimes come. There's been some presentations that were involved the kids, and we didn't have to jerk them out of school to do it. I'd also like to thank the commission for investing, I know it's not cheap, but I think it's money well spent to have meetings out in the community. I think the first one's coming up in Molalla, and I noticed the one in Oak Grove is at the end of the list. Given what's going on in Oak Grove with light rail and the trolley trail, and that we're kind of in the middle of all of the, I'll use the word commotion, I'd request that you move the date of that up on the list if you could, maybe to number 2. I'd sure appreciate it. Several people have agreed with me on that. Quick comment about the Elks event that we had. It was a great open house. Chair Ludlow made hundreds of balloons for the kids. Paul Savas kicked booty at ping pong. And of course, it was really all put together with the hard work of Thelma Hagenmiller. And she was selected Elk of the Month. And you can't say enough about how hard Thelma works for the community. The Meals on Wheels, when my father became ill, Meals on Wheels served him, and it was great. He was in a situation where the neighbors also got Meals on Wheels, and they got together and had breakfast, had lunch. It was priceless, absolutely priceless. And for those that don't know, the Milwaukee Center is located at North Clackamas Park. So as the gentleman indicated, the 115,000 people in the Parks District are serviced by Meals on Wheels. They're also the same people that would be voting on this potential sale of the Trolley Trail property. Speaking of which, of course, I can't leave without a question and a comment. I can't find any record that TriMet has a land use approval for developing the property that's in the unincorporated Oak Grove area. I find plenty of approvals for the work on the trail itself, which is in the city of Milwaukee. The trail extends into Oak Grove. Unless the county has given Milwaukee authority with a IGA or something, I'm just struggling to find any documentation. So one of the concerns is based on how Oak Grove has been treated, if I can use the word treated, by TriMet. I'm going to continue to pursue that issue. Were I to operate a food cart or start remodeling my house in this county without a permit, were I someone like Mr. Emmert and the problem arose, code enforcement would be all over me. And if it's true, I would expect code enforcement and the commission to address the issue. And frankly, if TriMet is in violation, it would be reasonable, very reasonable, to issue a stop work order without a financial penalty. Thanks for your time. And I'm going to leave maps, copies of the city limits with the trolley trail, just so you have them.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Les, for coming. You know, I just wanted to laugh when you asked us to change the schedule. You would never ask that if you knew what a monumental task it was. To get 5 commissioners in one place at one town throughout the year is just, you know, something that's extremely hard to do.
I understand,
Gary Schmidt
and
has
I,
worked on
I'm
that.
certainly not disappointed. I'm glad you're doing it, so
Yeah, well,
I
let me finish.
appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, let me finish. We, you know, went out in the areas. I requested Molalla be put on first. In our rural areas of Clackamas County, I don't think have been given the attention that they need, desperately need and deserve. So we're really going to be concentrating on hitting some of these areas that we've never been to before. There's great economic opportunity in Molalla that will be presented to the board when we go out there, and we're just hungry, and they are hungry to do that. And as you know, Oak Grove has not, has certainly received its fair of attention in their community for the various, many issues that we have, as a board, worked through collectively on. So whether that can happen, I don't know.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Les.
Thanks.
That concludes the public input, citizens communication, and we will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the development agency on this next item. Mr. Wheeler.
Yes, thank you, and I apologize for my false start a few minutes ago.
That's all right.
But we do have Dan Johnson here from the Development Agency to talk about what I think is a very positive transfer of land, and I know the city manager and mayor of Happy Valley are here as well.
I'd like
don't
to
know
call
if they
Jason
wish to
Tuck,
speak
the
or not,
city
but
manager
they're
of
here.
Happy Valley, and the city mayor, Lori DeReamer, up as part of this.
So take it away, Dan.
You got it, okay. Good morning. Again, quick introduction. My name is Dan Johnson, manager at Clackamas County Development Agency, and I'm pleased to be in front of this board today discussing an interesting and exciting opportunity that we have for sale of some property. And with that, we've prepared a brief PowerPoint show to make sure that we are very clear about, that's kind of awkward up there.
Yeah.
You were not the show, Dan.
That is not a good sight. Jeez.
That's it.
His
Whoa, Mary.
face.
It was huge. It's big enough the way it is. It's a lot bigger up there.
It's true.
I prepared a brief, and I'll get you off track, a brief PowerPoint just to make, not only for our commissioners, but the citizens. One, to kind of run through some of the details about the property. Secondly, to run through some of the limitations. Next, to run through some of the opportunities the city is here to discuss with us today. And then last but not least, to kind of outline the proposal so we are very clear. So with that, the property we're discussing today is essentially on the northeast corner of Southeast 122nd Avenue and Sunnyside Road. It's a residual piece of property from the Sunnyside Road Capital Improvement Project. Comprised of 2 acres, comprised of 2 tax lots. Totals about 7/10 of an acre. It's about 33,000 square feet in size. And it's zoned residential, which I think is an important component to this discussion. The agency was tasked with trying to develop this site to its highest and best use, and we've been actively trying to do that for a number of years, and to no avail. And I want to briefly discuss some of the limitations facing the property. First and foremost, this particular piece of property has little to no access. It has no direct access, I want to be clear, to Sunnyside Road and 122nd. Secondly, the current access to the property essentially is very circuitous and goes through the abutting residential neighborhood, which is important to understand. In regards to the residential market factors that we were dealing with, obviously location, road noise were all an issue, and really swayed a lot of the opportunities that came forward, though limited in nature. Commercial market factors. I put that up there just to obviously have a discussion about the fact we tried to assess those opportunities for a highest and best use. One component I need to bring to the board's attention and the community's attention is obviously any change of that property to a commercial use property will be very limited because the access goes through the residential neighborhood and it has no direct access. So there really isn't the viability or possibility to change that particular zone on that particular property to redevelop it. Last but not least, just to discuss the fact that there is a limited development area on this particular property. It's 7/10 of an acre, yes. However, there are a number, as you will see from its abutting road rights of way, there are setback limits associated with the site. There are also a number of topographical constraints that are on the property. Unfortunately, we have a 2-dimensional map here, not a 3-dimensional, and can't illustrate that more clearly, but there are, if you visit the site, there are topography issues on the north side and the east side. In light of this, again, we've been actively trying to market it. The city of Happy Valley was aware of those efforts. We've had discussions with the city as this is part of their UGMA area about what their intent is, what their desire is for the future of that area. And we were approached by the city with a proposal. And essentially the proposal, and I might toss it over to Jason, city manager from Happy Valley, from Happy Valley to basically briefly discuss. Hey.
Sorry.
Oh, perfect.
It's coming back.
Will Pamela get through?
Good thing there's nothing bad on this
Right.
email.
There's nothing.
So it's not
bad.
my head, thank goodness.
So it sounds to me like you've done a really good job of talking them out of buying this
Yeah.
piece of property.
I do want to take the chance to let Jason Tuck from the city of Happy Valley, the mayor is joining us today, just to express and discuss briefly the plans they would have for the site that are outlined in this proposal. So with that, I might pass it over to them to briefly discuss that.
Okay. Good morning, Lori DeReamer, Mayor of Happy Valley. Thank you, Chair Ludlow, Commissioners Bernard, and Commissioner Smith. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I find that you're probably going to see some of the cities in order to build this relationship. We tend to work offline once we all know each other, but it's nice to be in front of you and work together to solidify this partnership. We've been working on this project for well over a year now, if not longer than that. And we were approached, Councilor Andrusko, who's here with us today, was approached by several citizens early on regarding that piece of property because they believe it's already in the city of Happy Valley. And there's been some graffiti gone on, and it's just not been developed. And so they would call us, then we would call the county, and we would try to clean it up. And it's been just kind of an eyesore right there on a very nice street that's been developed, Sunnyside, all the way out to 172nd. So we thought we could partner with the county and develop this and put a monumental sign there. While that is somewhat an identifier for Happy Valley, we know that we spread out throughout Sunnyside, and not everybody's clear where our borders are. But we think this would be a good project considering the constraints of the actual piece of property. It's a purchase that I think would be beneficial to the county, and it's a purchase by us that we think would be beneficial to the citizens of Happy Valley. So I'll let Jason talk about the specifics to the project, and hopefully we can get this nailed shut and move on to other projects that we can work together on. Thank you.
Morning, Chair Ludlow, Commissioners. Not a lot to add to what the mayor has said and Mr. Johnson here. As you see in front of us, this gateway is important to the city. 122nd Avenue, if you've been up there, is one of the main entrances to the city. So we're making a concerted effort to beautify those areas as you enter Happy Valley. One of them's on 172nd. So you can go out there, and it's a joint project between the city and the county. You can see that there's a roundabout with entrance monumentation and artwork. So we're making an effort to do this at all of our main entrances, and this is one of those. Not a whole lot more to add. We just hope that you would agree to the sale, and we will be under construction with this in the summer.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Lori. This is a public discussion item. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this? All right, being none. Commissioners, you have any clarifying questions?
I do. Can you state for the record how much this is being sold for?
We had another slide, but I'll just speak to those points
Yeah.
briefly. So essentially, the proposal before you today is to acquire both pieces of property, tax lot 700 and 800, number one. Number two, the acquisition price is, there we go. Acquisition price is $62,370, and that's supported by appraisal. We had appraisal done on the property. I want to inform the board that it does include a right-of-way reservation on our behalf. So if there is a necessity in the future to provide a right turn lane, et cetera, on the particular site, we have reserved the right to construct that at a future date. And that is a brief illustration of the right-of-way reservation I referred to. Last but not least, there's a commitment within, and the element that you are executing today, or the authorization today, is for the disposition and development agreement. The improvements have to be constructed within 2 years. They obviously would assume maintenance responsibility with the site as owner. And then essentially there's a requirement that that main tax lot, that lower tax lot that has the amenities on it, be in public ownership for 20 years. And there's some clawback components to that deal as well.
A follow-up. I want to just express my gratefulness to Happy Valley for giving us, the county, $62,000 for a piece of property that we can't use. So that's great for our general fund. If you have any other money you want to throw our way, just let us know.
There you go. All right, so I'll entertain a motion, if you have this.
I move we approve the disposition agreement between Clackamas County Development Agency and the City of Happy Valley for transfer of land at the northeast corner of Southeast 122nd and Sunnyside Road.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All right, any further discussion? I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
Aye, unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Commissioners.
much for
Thank
coming
you,
today, I
staff, for
appreciate
all
it.
the work.
All right, we're going to adjourn the Development Agency and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners for the remainder of the meeting. It's the consent agenda time. I'll ask the clerk to read the consent agenda by title.
Thank you. Okay, the consent agenda. Under Health, Housing, and Human Services, approval of a behavioral health service agreement with Lake Oswego Counseling Center for outpatient mental health services. Under the Department of Emergency Management, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Portland State University for strategic development services. Under elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes. Under the Business and Community Services, a board order approving the Clackamas County Public Oral Auction on May 7th, 2013 to dispense tax foreclosed and surplus properties. Under Water Environment Services, approval of an agreement between Tri-City Service District and Settlers Home and Construction for the digester maintenance project. Approval of agreement with an agreement for professional services between Clackamas County Service District Number 1, Tri-City Service District, and Portland Engineering, Inc. for the instrumentation and control systems integrator of records. And that concludes the consent agenda.
Glad you had to do that, not me. All right, does the commission wish to pull any of the items from the consent agenda? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Bernard, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
Aye. All right, county administrator update.
The only update I have is to say I'm appreciating, as other people are appreciating, more light at the beginning and end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think that's good, but otherwise I don't have any specific items to update on.
Good one, good point, by the way. Commissioner Bernard.
Well, I'd first off like to thank Bob's Red Mill and Dave's Killer Bread for their contribution to Milwaukee Center and their contribution to the community at large. I did spend some time in D.C. Association of Oregon Counties did a great job organizing our folks in D.C. to come to our room, and we had an opportunity to talk to them. Particularly, Ron Wyden said he'd stay there all day if necessary to talk about forest policy. So it was great to listen to the point of view of counties throughout the state. One thing that is a concern to some is the extension of secure rural schools, which Clackamas County is probably, we haven't really talked about this, but we're probably in support of it. We used about $800,000 of those dollars last year to help fund community corrections, so any money we can get is great. But there are counties, such as Josephine County, that actually has a tax increase on the ballot. And the problem is, if there's a maybe, there might not be the votes to support what could actually happen. So there is concern with some counties. Also, I don't know what hope there is that someday we'll get back in our forests and actually try to preserve that great asset that we have in Clackamas County and throughout the country. But I hope we do that soon. I know that Clackamas County is 3,000 acres. We do an outstanding job, and we use that money to invest in our county parks. And matter of fact, soon we'll be talking about a project that will help us diffuse the debt we have. And anytime you can diffuse a debt, that's great. But I'll tell you, Washington, D.C. was, I got there March 1st. The sequester began, and folks didn't hang around very long after that. But I would say that speaking to our representatives in Washington, D.C., first, I think they should all go home. Put them on furlough and take a couple of days of pay out of their wallets. But the Constitution actually doesn't allow that, interesting enough. They get paid whether they work or not, and I hope that they do their work for us. But the biggest cut I'd say we're going to have is in health, housing, human services, H3S. Some of those will be some of our grant programs, CBDG, which we buy sidewalks or help folks, some of our nonprofits do what they need to do to continue in service. And I would say Meals on Wheels is at risk, depending upon where their funding comes from. But my advice to you is call Washington, D.C. and tell them to put it out for a vote, make a decision, and stop screwing around. So give Washington, your representatives in D.C. And by the way, Oregon representatives are all great. They don't make mistakes. Appreciate their hard work. It's the other guys. So
Yeah.
thanks.
What a promotion. They'll love you for that. Commissioner Smith.
I don't have a whole lot to say. We've been working really hard on a lot of issues that are now coming to fruition, as you saw today. Agreements don't happen overnight. Takes a lot of time and negotiating, and it's a very positive meeting, and thank you all for coming.
I have some brief announcements. First of all, sometimes you get email, we all get email, and one email particularly recently was criticizing the travel that the commissioners do, and I didn't travel, but it doesn't matter. I want to thank Commissioner Bernard for his work. You know, he is doing the county's work, and it does have an impact when you go to Washington D.C. and you walk in these people's office, and or in this particular case, of course, having a congressman come to you. That's a great accomplishment because these people have great power, and I know for sure they appreciate somebody coming to them where they're working and asking them particular questions that greatly affect this county. So I'm not a critic of this travel, and including the other two commissioners that are gone. They're doing the people's work. And the schedule they have for these people, they get the most work out of these commissioners when they're back there. They work them very hard. And for those who have gone through endless meetings for an entire day or 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, it does wear you out. So again, I want to compliment and thank Commissioner Bernard. Some announcements. The Board of County Commissioners Town Hall. We talked about that. The first one will be Tuesday, March 19th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the Molalla Public Library on East 5th Street. Come and meet your commissioners and talk about issues that are important to you. And this was mentioned by Commissioner Smith, and so this is our first one. We will certainly entertain the changing of, certainly it wouldn't be the date, but we've already put this schedule out to the other parties, and it's going to be pretty tough to change that as was suggested. Also, the State of the County 2013, Tuesday, April 9th, mark that on your calendar, at 7 p.m. Again, April 9th. Right here in the BCC hearing room, you'll be able to hear the commissioners speak on issues of interest to you, and we will answer any questions you may have regarding the state of the county. So it's very interactive. I want to also say and thank Commissioner Smith, because I promised Commissioner Savas that I would be at the roundtable discussion last night, but my Wilsonville Wildcats, who have announced basketball games for 17 years, ended up in the state playoffs, and I had to go down and watch their game. And Commissioner Smith, I thank you publicly for taking that over. It was extremely well attended and fascinating, according to Commissioner Smith. But I just want to remind you of those dates. But again, so the two dates are March 19th for our first town hall in Molalla at the Public Library, and then the State of the County, Tuesday, April 9th at 7 p.m. right here in the BCC hearing room. Unless there's any business before us again, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming.